All right, let's dive right in. Today we're exploring a really powerful story called The Parable of the Winter Garden. It's a tale all about persecution and sacrifice, but ultimately it's about an incredible, unwavering sense of hope. Sometimes to really understand a story, you've got to start at the end. And the final line of this parable is just, wow. It says, the bloodshed of a time of hate had become a timeless sign of hope. How in the world does that happen? How does something so terrible become a symbol of hope? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. So let's set the scene. Picture this absolutely perfect, peaceful garden. There's a master gardener there, and he just pours all his love and care into every single plant. It's a total sanctuary. Now, tucked away in a quiet corner of this garden is where our story really takes root. There's this special plot of flowering bulbs. And these aren't just any plants. Each and every bulb is a metaphor. It represents a person, a member of the secret faithful community. And at the very heart of this community, we've got our main character, if you will. His name is Januarius. Think of him as the strongest, most vibrant bulb of the bunch. He's the one everyone else looks to, a real beacon of strength and life. But you know how these stories go. That peace can't last. A cruel, jealous king is just consumed with hatred for this beautiful garden, and so he decides he's going to destroy it. This isn't just a storm, it's a deliberate, calculated, killing winter that's on its way. So here it is, the central conflict laid bare. On one side, you've got this thriving, living garden, and on the other, the king's brutal plan. And let's be clear, his goal isn't just to clear some plants, it's to methodically, completely extinguish every last bit of life. The king's soldiers, they don't just rush in. They start this campaign of terror slowly, which is almost worse, right? They'd show up totally unannounced, just start trampling the most delicate flowers, digging up roots. Every single move was calculated to create fear, to just wear this little community down. And this is where things really shift. One of Januarius's friends, another bulb named Sosius, gets dug up and captured. And what does Januarius do? He doesn't hide. No way. He does the opposite. He boldly pushes his leaves right up out of the dirt to try and comfort his friend. It's this incredible act of defiance, and it makes the king's men absolutely furious. Okay, so that one act of bravery kicks off this series of just insane trials. First, the soldiers grab Januarius and his companions and throw them into a burning furnace, trying to just scorch them into nothing. But something incredible happens. The warmth of their faith inside them is literally stronger than the fire. They emerge completely unharmed. So the soldiers try again. This time, they throw them to wild, hungry beasts. And you won't believe it. The animals don't attack. They just lie down at their feet, totally peaceful, like they recognize something sacred. It's as if their faith is literally bending the rules of nature. So now the soldiers are just beyond frustrated. They're enraged. Fire didn't work, wild animals didn't work, so they just snap. And they resort to one last brutal final act. They just take their tools and they cut the bulbs right from their roots. And this crimson sap, which is, their lifeblood, it just pours out and stains the ground. It's just this moment of absolute violent sacrifice. And then there's just silence. It really truly feels like it's over. The community is gone. All that life just wiped out. It looks for all the world like the king's winter has finally won. But hold on, this isn't the end of the story, not by a long shot. Because the gardener, remember him? The one who planted everything? He knew a secret, something the king, in all his cruelty, could never understand. See, the king thought he'd won, but it was all an illusion. He was so focused on destruction that he completely missed the bigger picture. And this, right here, is where the whole story turns from a tragedy into something profoundly hopeful. And who was the keeper of this incredible secret? It wasn't some powerful warrior. It was a quiet helper in the garden, a loving woman named Eusebia. And what she does next, this one simple act, it changes everything. So what was this game-changing act? It was so simple. She collected some of that precious crimson sap, that lifeblood, and she saved it in a single glass vial. She literally held on to the physical memory of their sacrifice. And because of what she did, a miracle happens. Every single year, people gather to remember what happened to the bulbs, And as they pray, as they hope, that dried up sap in the vial, it starts to stir. It turns back into a liquid, and it actually bubbles with new life. It's unbelievable. The promise is renewed. Think about that. A truly horrific act of hate gets transformed into this recurring, yearly sign of life. That's the gardener's ultimate message, isn't it? That no winter, no matter how cruel, can ever, ever truly kill the life that he planted. So that brings us right back to where we started. How does a story of sacrifice become a symbol of renewal? Well, this beautiful parable suggests that it's through faith and through remembering and through community. It tells us that even the most painful loss can be transformed into a hope that never ever fades.